What's up YouTube, Taco Sauce 4x4 back again with another review, and today we're going to be looking at the Baja Designs Squadron Sport Amber Foglights for Toyota Tacoma's 3rd generation. I believe these also fit on 4Runners and Toyota Tundras. Let's open up the box and see what we got inside here. So once we open them up, we can see that both Foglights are sitting in this nice cardboard packaging. These things feel pretty solid. I did in fact look it up beforehand, and these are actually made out of aluminum, so they're a little lighter than your average Foglight, which is nice if you're trying to save weight on your vehicle. You'll also see that if you look at the bezel on the edge of this, there is a curve to it. The reason that is because when this goes into your housing on your Tacoma, Tundra, or 4Runner, it's going to fit the curve of the bumper, so that way there isn't a weird gap between your Foglight and the bezel of your bumper, so it's nice and flush. Alright, see what else we got in here. Alright, and not much else because these are just Foglights. So we have a Baja Designs sticker, so you can show off to all the other people on the road and show them just how cool you are. We have a product registration card. That's how you know it's serious. And then finally we have all of our hardware, and we have our extra adapter housing. These are advertised as plug and play, which means that these should fit right into your OEM Foglight housings. You won't have to do any kind of splicing or anything like that. Alright, let's go over to the truck and let's get these bad boys installed. Alright, so we are now outside and it is assembly time. I've got everything mocked up. I'll flip the camera around and we'll take a look at how all this goes. The way I have it mocked up right now is the one on the left is going to be your passenger side Foglight. The one on the right is going to be your driver's side Foglight. This is important that you pay attention to the way the bezels go. So remember we said that this has a curved bezel to it. The higher side of the bezel is going to go facing inwards. So let's say your grill, the grill of your truck is right here. The higher side of the bezel goes there. Make sure you do that. I've also mocked up everything according to the instructions. So you have 2 different brackets. This bracket with these ears that kind of curve inwards, they're going to go on the inside of your Foglight, and they will be attached with that little serrated looking star washer. And you'll see that the screw also has this green stuff on it that is Loctite. Don't wipe it off. You actually want that on there. Now you also find that when you unbox this, you'll have 2 pieces of this rubberized sticky backed stuff. This is called EPDM, and what this does is it actually helps to reduce vibration noises from your Foglights. So for the Tacoma, you want to use the thinner one, and for the Tundra, they recommend this thicker one. And what you'll do is you'll cut a little square of this off, and you'll actually install it onto the back of that little bracket. So it's going to go, I believe, right in between where this is going to touch your factory receiving point. So now, as you can see, I've cut the EPDM rubberized sticker thing and cut it to 2 little squares and stuck it to the back of this bracket. And again, that'll just help reduce any kind of vibration or road noise that you might hear. So it is a good idea to use this stuff. And again, remember, if you are putting these on your Tacoma, you're going to want to use the thinner one. And if you're putting these on a Tundra, you are going to need to use the thicker one that is supplied. All right, your next step is now going to be to install your washer and your bolt onto that bracket to secure it to your Foglight. So what you're going to do is, I don't know if I can do this with one hand, I'm going to try. You're going to put your bracket right there, and before you do that, that little star washer, whatever you call this thing with the serrations on it, is going to go right on there. And you always want to hand tighten these first, especially because this is aluminum. You could potentially strip it, so I'm going to do that real quick because obviously I can't do this with one hand. Also remember that the bolt on here does have Loctite pre-applied to it, so it may give you a little bit of initial resistance, but don't worry, don't put too much power into it, but just screw it in really gently and it will get moving. So this is now all tightened down, and as you can see, I have that bracket installed. The screw is completely flush in there. As I did this, I made sure to keep those ears even kind of with that line where there's a little bit of a gap between that bezel and the amber of the light. You can kind of see it shining through there. And I tried to use that as a reference point as far as for lining this up straight, because if you don't line it up straight, it's going to be pointing upwards and you might potentially blind oncoming traffic. So don't be that guy or girl. Alright, we're now going to install the other bracket that goes on the other side of this. And we're going to take this bracket here, I don't know what you want to call it, the one that's shaped like that. And the curved side of that mounting point is going to go forward on the light, and it's going to fit in just like that. And then the process is the same. Again, hand tighten the screw first, and then take your hex wrench and tighten it all the way down. Now before we get to the fun part of actually sticking these into the truck itself, we have to attach these adapters. This is for the Tacoma, at least to my knowledge. I haven't looked up what type of bulbs the 4Runner and the Tundra takes, but you have to install these adapters into your clip, and then this adapter right here so that you can plug it right in to your factory wires. And we're going to do that right quick, and I'll show you what it looks like. So what you're going to do first is, I always like to mock everything up. So you'll see there's a black wire here and a white wire, and then you have a black wire and a brown wire on that one. The way this is going to work is that this little guy is your go-between. You're going to hook that into this, and then this cap will attach to these two, and it'll clip right down. I'll show you what that looks like all done up. Alright, so there we are, all attached. This thing is relatively idiot-proof, for lack of a better word. If you try to clip that adapter piece in the other way, it's not going to go. And then your adapter that's going to run to your factory wires, it has these two little gaskets on it, or whatever you want to call them, wire insulators, just to keep moisture and stuff from getting in there. Make sure that you push those all the way in. You can see the one on the right still needs to go in a little further. The one on the left looks good. And then once you do that, you just push this cap down, and you'll hear an audible click, and then you'll know that you're good to go. Alright, now comes the fun part. We're going to remove the factory stock fog light. Wave goodbye to that little guy. I've seen a couple tutorials where guys have actually gone in and gone through the tire well, and what they do is they remove this black splash guard there, whatever you want to call it. There's a couple screws in there. You can see them. There's 1, 2, 3. You pull those off, and then you can get in through there. I've also heard guys can actually do it where if you have long enough arms, you can reach in from behind your actual headlights, and then your fog light is right, if I can get a shot of it, is right down there, and you don't even have to remove that flap. So I'm going to try to do it that way first, just so I don't have to pop those plastic screws and potentially break them. So we'll see how this goes. Alright, so I did actually manage to do it that way, and it is not difficult at all. I'd say the hardest part is trying to get this fog light out of here now. Dancing it out, it's a boy. Alright, so you can see now the factory bulb is out. Now I'm going to install this bad boy in there. I will say, if you are going to do the method that I did where you don't take the fender liner off, you're going to need a really short little screwdriver because it's going to be difficult with a long one. Get one of these little guys, that's what I used, and then make sure you save that screw, because that's a screw that you're going to be using to attach your new fog lights. So let's do that real quick. Also, a quick word of advice, it's always a good idea before you tighten anything down and permanently install this, you want to hook everything up and test it first. Obviously when you're doing this, you want the power to your vehicle shut off, so I've disconnected the battery prior to doing this, and now I've reconnected it, and I'm going to turn the fog lights on and see what this looks like. Hopefully it doesn't start sparking and catching fire. If it does, you probably did something wrong, and you're going to want to check your wiring here. The worst that could happen is, let's say you accidentally put these backwards, you might short something out, you might pop a fuse. So again, always a good idea to test it out before you go and permanently install it in there, and then have to reach back in and uninstall it and fix your mistake. And yes, it is 100% working. Jesus Christ, that thing is really, really bright. I live in an area where we do get a decent amount of snow, and we do occasionally have whiteout or zero visibility conditions due to snow and fog, and I cannot wait to see how this thing performs. Alright, so there we are, all installed, and I have to say this looks awesome on the truck. Just a black truck with that amber light on it, I think it really makes everything kind of pop on there, and I can't wait to try these out at night. I'm going to go around and do the other side, and then I'll show you what it looks like with both of these on. Alright, so both sides are now all wired up, and I think these look amazing. They look kind of dim on my camera because my camera does a pretty good job of cutting down on bright light sources and such, but in person I could see how these things can cut through just about anything. The Baja Designs Sport fog lights that we have here have amazing reviews. Everybody who runs them says that in whiteout conditions, in heavy snow, rain, what have you, these cut through it like it's nothing.